Hi, I'm Adam Janke. I'm the Extension Wildlife Specialist at Iowa State University Extension and Outreach. I'm also an assistant professor in the Department of Natural Resource Ecology and Management. Really excited to be speaking today on the site of this beautiful wetland restored through the CREP program in Iowa, the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program, that looks to target wetland inside watersheds to treat drain tile and remove the nitrates in the surface waters. As a wildlife ecologist, I'm of course interested in a little nitrate from surface water because of its positive impacts on downstream wildlife habitat and water quality. But I'm also really excited about wetland conservation practices to address water quality because they create a lot of secondary benefits, namely related to wildlife and wildlife-associated recreation, like we can see on this beautiful parcel here. In Iowa, over 120 different species of birds, fish, mammals, reptiles, amphibians, butterflies, other insects are listed as state species of greatest conservation need that are reliant on wetland ecosystems. So we know as we put wetland ecosystems into Iowa's landscape to address challenges related to nitrates in surface water, we also are at the same time addressing challenges related to declines in many of Iowa's wildlife, from everything from butterflies to beautiful birds. There's also over 300 different species of plants uniquely adapted to wetland ecosystems in Iowa. Many of these plants are rare or declining, and many wildlife species rely on these plants found in Iowa. Here at this wetland, we find a bunch of different wetland plants, both out in the water itself, in the wetland, floating on the surface of the wetland, and then along the margins of the wetland as well, and then even into the uplands. And that's another exciting thing about this conservation practice is not only is it putting wetland pools out onto Iowa's agricultural landscape, but it's also creating wetland or adjacent upland habitat that's really important, that interface between terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems that creates even more wildlife habitat and also is another way to improve water quality. One of these plant species that we find on the margins of Iowa's wetlands is swamp milkweed, which of course is familiar to anybody in the conservation arena as one of many species of native milkweeds found in Iowa that are really critical to efforts to restore and protect monarch butterflies. And so swamp milkweed is just a wetland version of many different types of milkweeds, and we find that here at this wetland today and also at many different types of wetland ecosystems across Iowa that can help create habitat for the monarch. The list of species that we could find at this wetland is really quite long. Just standing here listening today, I can hear a marsh wren calling to my left, common yellowthroats calling over there, a bobolink just flew over the camera setup, there's dick thistles calling in the uplands, great blue herons have been foraging in the shallower portions of the wetland. Upstream, we've seen mallards and wood ducks, and those are also rearing their broods this time of year because they've nested either in wood duck boxes on the parcel or in the adjacent upland areas and led their young down here to this wetland. In fact, last year during some research that one of my graduate students was doing where we were visiting wetlands all across Iowa and Minnesota with drones to count young ducklings, we visited this wetland as part of a random sample of wetlands in our study area and found over 60 ducklings were on this wetland last summer. So these wetlands really have a remarkable capacity to contribute to wildlife production in that way. The other exciting thing about wildlife production on wetlands is it provides a lot of opportunities for wildlife-associated recreation. And so we know this landowner is interested in things like observing wildlife on his farm, and then also enjoys hunting wildlife. And CREP wetlands and other wetlands put into Iowa's landscape to address water quality create habitat for humans as well, where they can kayak, bird watch, enjoy time with their family, or go hunting. So wetlands are really a solution that to many different challenges, not just the challenges that we have related to water quality.